So we are at episode 150.
Woohoo!
150. Jen, so I said to myself this morning when I woke up without a plan, as I do many days. Okay, episode 150, I feel like it needs to not be just Liz talking about stuff. I need like, what am I gonna do? I thought I know exactly what I'm gonna do. It's Jen. It has to be Jen.
Aw.
So I
Well, I'm
messaged you and
honored.
and you're so gracious to because I was like, listen, you available? You have a very busy schedule, so I didn't expect you to say yes, but we did I think I can't remember if it was at the beginning of 2025 or the end of 2024. I think it was the beginning of 2025. Is that your
Yes, I
recollection?
I think so, because we talked about things that we can expect or that
Yes,
might be changing and
exactly.
stuff like that.
Right, like what was working in what's not working, that sort of thing when it comes to author marketing, and somehow it's been a whole year. And so I
It's
said,
nuts.
"Listen, I think we need to talk about this again." And and
Mhm.
and this is sort of like the preamble into 2026. This isn't like the official, "Hey," but we talked about how both you and I are getting a lot of questions and frustrations
Mhm.
from authors who are like, what do I do? Like, I'm
Mhm.
not selling any books." And of course, my first question is, "Well, when was the last time you talked about it?" It's like, "Oh, I haven't."
Yes.
But I wanted to just kind of get a gauge from you. Is that all right? Did I say that right? Like, do we get a
Yeah.
gauge? I want to
Mhm.
let's gauge the situation because I wrote down a couple notes. I don't want to just talk about the same old, which is post
Mhm.
to social media and send to your email list. Like, all those things are probably forever going to be somewhat important. And
Mhm.
how authors do them, I think, is equally important. So it can't
Mhm.
always be focused.
Mhm.
But like, what are you seeing that, first of all, let's just start talking about one of our favorite topics collectively, which is expectations. Are
Yes.
you still
Yes.
finding, because I am, that
Mhm.
authors are having, there's like two segments of the industry where one segment is very focused on dollars,
Mhm.
not so much on writing. So they're technically authors, but they're more, in my mind, they're more business people than
Yeah.
authors,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
then you have the side where they might be a little bit of both,
Mhm.
but they recognize that there's a very small profit margin on books,
Mhm.
right? We're not making $100 profit off of every book we sell, not by a
Yeah.
long shot. So it's a quantity game if
Mhm.
all you're selling is a book, which is fine, by the way.
Mhm.
Are you still finding that authors' expectations or assumptions about what other authors are doing? Okay, so the nodding is happening.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I think too, it also comes back to I am big on thinking about a goal because when you think
Mhm.
about, okay, I want to sell more books, what does that mean? What does
Right.
more mean?
Right.
And so when you can get very specific and say, okay, realistically, like, what am I selling right now? I'm not gonna say, "Okay, I wanna sell 10,000 books this month," when I'm struggling to sell, 5.
Right. Mhm.
It's going in smaller increments and thinking, "Okay, I want to sell 10 books this week," just for a round number. So
Mhm.
I know I need to sell, X amount of books per day, and so when you kinda take it down into smaller chunks and you think more strategically, "How am I gonna sell even 2 books today? Is it, and I think too, when authors are looking or assuming that other, authors are selling tens of thousands of books or that they're, like every author on their first book sold millions of copies.
Right.
When that is not the case, I think ed- educating yourself within how many books one of your favorite authors sold or like how many books it took them before they started seeing that momentum to
Yeah.
seeing those consistent sales. you look at, like, one of my favorite examples is Kristen Hanna, because it was like her
Mhm.
14th book
Right.
was
The women?
The Nightingale.
Oh, The Nightingale. Yes.
Yes, because
Mhm.
The Nightingale was really her jumping off point, and that was, like,
Right.
book number 14. And so when we just assume, like, that our first book is going to be this runaway success, or that that's what we're expecting, it's often this jarring realization going, "Oh gosh, I didn't do that." And so then they think that they're a failure, or
Right.
that their book isn't any good. No, this is not.
Right.
And that's also, again, with the education, and I think the community aspect of it,
Mhm.
talking with other authors, or, listening to podcasts like this, or, being in some sort of community where you can hear, okay, I'm struggling with this too. Or, no, I did not sell a million copies of my book the first week that it was out,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I do think that expectation, and just kind of realizing that you're not alone in this, and that this is an industry that does take some time.
Time. Like, I was talking to somebody, an author I work with last week, and we were working on keywords
Hmm.
for a new book that this person has coming out. And one of the first places I like to start, and I'm not going to go into a big keyword discussion, but is what's a similar book that it, don't think of it as a competitor. Think of it as, if you bought this, you'll also like my book. So
Hmm.
give me a name of that. And this person said to me, well, the runaway bestseller in this arena is, and gave me the title of the book. And I said,
Hmm.
okay, how do you know that's the runaway
Hmm.
bestseller? And the answer was, well, I have this software, and I went into it and it said that the book is doing like $20,000 a month. I said, interesting. So I also have a software that I can use for that, that's called Publisher Rocket.
Hmm.
It is not um like a perfect science.
Hmm.
So even books that I know exactly what they're making because I've written them,
Hmm.
sometimes are off high.
Yeah.
It'll say, 10,000 a month, and I'm like, "Wait, what, huh? What?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where's that money going?
Mhm.
However, when I logged in and looked at this particular book, it was $8 a month. And I
Wow.
right? And I had a sense of that because it had a very low number of reviews.
Mm.
And so I thought, how can this, and I looked at its sales rank on Amazon, and it was,
Mhm.
in the millions, right? So it was like, how is this a runaway bestseller? And then to continue on with that conversation, because I think this is important, there was another book that was referenced that supposedly is doing incredibly well. I looked it
Mhm.
up in Publisher Rocket. Sure enough, it was showing 19,000 in sales every month. Now, keep
Wow.
in mind, that's not 19,000 in profit.
Yeah.
That's 19,000 in sales.
Mhm.
So we have to divide that by like 4, and
Mhm.
1/4 of that is approximately the net profit. The context that was missing, and is often missing, is the individual who is selling that book is also running 5 figures of Amazon ads per month to that book.
Yeah.
And we know that because this program is one that this author is in.
Mm.
So that, and I'm putting air quotes in this case around the word author, not the one I work with, but the
Mhm.
one who is selling the $19,000 in books,
Mhm.
is advertising, "Oh, I'm selling all of this in order to get people into their program," which I
Mhm.
might add costs 5 figures.
Yep.
It's a $10,000 program, and that is actually where they're making their money.
Yes.
So they're screenshotting the, "Hey, we made 19,000." You didn't, first of all, you didn't profit 19,000.
Yeah.
Your book sold. And second of all, you probably spent 15,000 on ads. So do all the math, and maybe you took home $400.
Mhm.
But you're making all your money off of this $10,000 course that isn't working for people because it's not a feasible thing.
No.
That's in one side of the industry. And then of course we talk about fiction writers. Like, I've heard from a lot of fiction writers lately who are quite, what's the, like, not disillusioned, but they're frustrated. They're
Yeah.
tired. They're
Yeah.
like, "What?" So tactically, Jen, when you say, because I one of the things I love about have a goal
Mhm.
is it keeps the author very themselves focused.
Mhm.
So they're not even looking at what other people are doing, they're just looking at
Right.
their goal. So if
Mhm.
your goal is, "I wanna sell 10 books this week, and therefore let's just make it easy and say 2 a day," now
Mhm.
what? Because the next question is, "Well, how do I sell 2 a day? What do I do?"
Yes. Exactly. So this is where and I think that, like, especially the timing where we're at right now, if your listeners are listening to this in April of next year, it's still it's a starting point.
Mhm.
I think the piece that so many authors skip over is the prep work. And when I say prep work, I'm not talking about this is going to take months of, time. This
Yeah.
is really sitting down and looking at, okay, so if you are already active on, let's say, social media, or if you are going to different events and selling your book, or doing in-person things, listing out all the things that you're doing to connect with people, and then you really audit it, where you are looking at, okay, if I'm spending all of this time on Instagram and I am just going for more and more views, or I'm just looking for more and more likes. What I always tell authors is, I want you to be profitable. I don't want you to be popular. Yes, popularity
Love
is,
that.
great, but
Uh-huh.
that's not going to help you sell your book all the time. You
Right.
need to be profitable. And there's a different, like, you have to actively sell that, like, you have to talk about your book. And so when you go into audit, I always look at, like, if let's say you're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, you can go in and look at those analytics. And I am not having you, I don't want you to look at the likes. I don't want you to look at even the views. What I want you to look at are the clicks. Like, are people actively clicking on your link in the profile? Are they actively clicking, going from that outlet to your website or to wherever it is that you're leading them?
Mhm.
Because that tells you more about what people are that are actually taking action. So, for
Yeah.
example, like on TikTok, I think I have like 55,000 some odd followers over there. And then on Instagram, I have 30 some odd thousand.
Mhm.
And so if someone were to look at that and go, "Oh, you obviously, you sell more through TikTok." No, I sell
Right.
I but like also looking at the analytics, like, and this is why it's so important to have a website. You're treating your book as a business,
Mhm.
essentially. So having a website so you can look at those analytics. And so I know if I was only following the number of followers that I had on an outlet, I would be all askew, because the most traffic that I get personally to my website is Pinterest.
I know. It's
And
so it
it's
makes me
crazy.
laugh because you told me
Yeah,
that probably a year ago, and I was just like, "What?"
I know. And so you can't assume, so because
Right.
when people only look at the number of followers, the number
Right.
of likes, all of that, that is not automatically contributing to sales.
Yeah.
When I see people say, "Oh, we're going to increase your views," I'm always like, "No, pump the brakes here," because views don't translate automatically into sales. You
Especially if
have
they're not views by somebody who would even be interested. Like, maybe they're
exactly.
watching it because it's entertaining
Mhm.
or who knows what, just because the algorithm serves it to them or it's popular, it's gone air
Yeah.
quote viral, but
Yeah.
that doesn't. Okay, so, question about, Instagram specifically and
Mhm.
what you've seen work for the link in bio. So now we can have, I mean, there are all different ways people do that link. Some people just put
Mhm.
one link. Some people use you can now have, like, what, 5, I think, through
Yeah.
Instagram.
Mhm.
Some people use a link in bio. Some people use a direct them to a website, whatever. But
Mhm.
how do you, when someone is starting out,
Mhm.
so you have this great saying, "Start simple, get fancy later," that
Yes.
you've said to me for so long, and I now attribute it to you.
Well, it's from Amy Porterfield, just so I can give credit where
Fair,
credit is due. Yes.
which you do so well, and so honestly. So start simple, get fancy later. When you're starting and you just want it to be simple and you
Mhm.
don't want to feel so overwhelmed. Let's say that Instagram is your platform that you
Mhm.
are going to. what do you recommend that people have um in their bio a link to their book and a link to their website, or a link to their book and a link to maybe sign up for their email? Like, how are you trying to how do you best guide people in terms of making this work, as opposed to,
Yeah.
like you said, just be about vanity metrics?
Yeah. So there are 2 sides to this that I would advise. So when it comes to which and how many links to have in your bio, first of all, if, like, let's say you're just starting out, you can't afford to build a website yet, or you don't have that yet,
Mm.
that is fine. What I would encourage them to do is either um, set up just a simple landing page through their newsletter service. So there's like MailerLite, there's Flowdesk, where you can have, like, a landing page. You
Right,
can create a landing page to start growing that list,
right.
which is so important. If that kind of intimidates you, or again, if money is a factor, Substack, I call that a great starter home. That is, like, if you're just getting started, you don't have, like, if the technical things just kind of make your mind want to blow.
Yeah,
It's a simple thing. It's not my favorite, but it
right.
is, something to do.
And
So
you can take your subscribers from Substack later, and right? And move
yes, you
them?
can.
Okay.
Right now, like, that's
Right
and this
now.
is yeah,
Right.
this is where, and so if someone is saying, "Well, what's wrong with Substack?" Substack is still rented space.
Yeah.
You do not own that. And so when I see people advise, I've seen some and they're in the writing community, who are telling them, ditch your website and just input everything, like, have Substack be your website.
Yeah.
That is very dangerous land for me. Like, but you do you. I'm never
Yes.
going to say you need to do this.
Yes.
So, but that's one thing. So figuring out where it is that you want them to land. I always, always, always tell authors, focus on the destination first.
Yes.
Where do you want them to end up? And then reverse engineer that. So
Mhm.
for your links, some people I've heard some people ask, like, oh, does Instagram dock you if you have more than one link? Or, is that a bad thing? They don't care. Like,
Right.
honestly,
They're
they don't
tired
care.
too.
Yes. But the
Yeah.
thing, like, their main purpose is they want people to stay on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever it is.
So,
What's your
I know it's coming. You know it's coming because you saw me.
Yes.
It's so, lately there's been this, and I use it, but ManyChat, which is
Yes.
the software. A lot of people know what it does, they just don't know what it's called, where people will
Mhm.
say, "Comment book if you want me to send you the link to my book."
Yes.
And so I use it. A
I
lot of
do
people,
too.
use it. I mean, does it work? Yes. Is it as crazy as I no, like, sometimes I'm getting comments on things that were posted 3 months ago, and then I'll post something today and get crickets. But do you find, or have you seen any data that suggests that that works better than saying link in bio? I know for a while people were doing, like, bio with the I upside down. They were using an
Mhm.
exclamation point instead of an I, because it didn't wanna, like, trigger the algorithm that you're trying to send people off of the
So
service.
that was really more in TikTok, where,
Mm.
like, they would say blink and Lio, or, like, in the
Mhm,
video,
mhm.
or, something like that. But when we're talking about Instagram, I find that the link in bio, or that the many chat, or prompting people to say a word in the comments. You don't, like,
Yeah.
if you have a very small audience, or if you just don't have a ton of engagement,
Mhm.
having them, like, comment a word, you go back and see, like, who has left a comment, and then you DM them, because that prompting DMs are one of the biggest visibility tools that you can have. And so prompting them to say a specific word, where you can then go and DM them the link or whatever it is, because you can share multiple links in DMs.
Well, and the great point about that, because ManyChat is a paid service, and it's not a super
Mhm.
expensive service. I think it's like $15 a month, but for people who are just getting started, who have to choose, and they're like, "I just can't absorb that." To your point, if you don't have hundreds of people commenting,
Yeah.
then when someone comments, you can go and do that
Yes.
manually.
So that's something, like, if you're just looking to get started. And the thing
Right.
is with ManyChat also to remember, like, I pay a lot more now because my audience is larger and
Yes.
because it's like I get hundreds and hundreds, like
Yes.
it's in um I can't remember if it's in regards to how many people follow you or it's
Mhm.
I can't remember what it
It
is, but
it
you
saves each person who DMs you or who posts the like, whatever they want, it saves
Mhm.
them as, like, a contact.
Yeah.
And so as you're like, I actually go in and delete all of those.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I don't use it for anything. Now other people
Yeah.
do, like, who are a
Yeah.
little more advanced with that level that type of marketing. For
Mhm.
me, I know exactly why I'm using it, and it's just
Yes.
to start those conversations in DM. But
Mhm.
if I don't go in and delete all those contacts, it will start upping my price every month because it is
Okay.
based on the number of air quote contacts. And I say
Well,
contacts
looky.
because, yeah, it's not like you get their email address.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just their so I think, and now this is, like, off the point, but you can if it's storing those contacts for you, you can then go back in and start another many chat cycle that, like,
Mhm.
auto DMs everybody who's on your so many chat knows how to reach your people on the but you don't,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
how they kind of keep that behind
Mhm.
that golden gate, which is why it's nice to just get them to sign up because then you have their email address. You're not beholden to
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think that that definitely does it helps the visibility factor, but it removes that barrier of that extra step for people to take. So if they just comment that you can send them the exact link that they're looking for. And
Right.
again, having some sort of just greeting where hey, I'm excited for you to, check out these chapters. Here it is. And guess what? I'm going to give you this other free thing too, or something like
Right.
that, where you're really starting to have those conversations in the DM. And yes, that definitely works more. I would I want to say like the link in bio is definitely important.
Mhm.
Having some because if someone stumbles on your profile and they see, they start going through it, they want to be able to find what it is that they're looking for.
Right.
And so that is important. But when it comes to people actually participating in the feed and participating in that conversation, if it's easy for them just to copy, like just put in a word and then they get, a DM, that does
Yeah.
help your visibility. So, yes.
Yeah. So, okay, coming back to the tactical, I wanna get 2 sales a day.
Mhm.
If someone came to you today and said, "Je" okay, me, I'm gonna come to you
Mhm.
today and say, "Jen, I wanna get 2 sales today of a book that just isn't moving.
Mhm.
What do I do?"
So what I would do again, once you have that information on which platform is actually getting you the most traction to participate in what it is that you are calling them to
Mhm.
do. So for me, I know that my newsletter, I know I can put out a newsletter and people respond. Like that is my tried and true. If you're
Mhm.
just starting, it is you need to have a time of observation in okay, where are people participating? So let's say it is Instagram. What I would do is going into, like, posting stories and seeing, like because that's where people do
Yeah.
I know that the role that I and it's
No,
true.
I'm not rolling my eyes in a
No.
negative way. I'm rolling them like, "Yup," because people I was like this too, Jen. Like, I disregarded stories for so
Mhm.
long, or I did the thing where I would just take a post and share it to my story, take a reel
Yeah.
and share it to my story, and it wasn't nearly as effective as inviting some level of engagement in those
Mhm.
stories, whether it was a
Yes.
link or a poll or asking a question, like, but continue with what you I just wanted to clarify. I wasn't rolling my eyes like, "Oh god."
No,
I
no, no,
was
no. Because I'm the same way. Because I honestly like, stories exhaust me. Like, for some dumb reason, they exhaust me, and so it's where if you're like, especially if you're just getting started, when you really
they
start to
exhaust you to, consume or to create?
create.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? And it's honestly, like, I totally get it when people say, "Oh god, I just don't," and I'm like, "I know."
Mhm.
But honestly, like, if that is where your audience is participating, those stories, that is where you can sell every single day.
Correct.
Every day in your stories. There
Correct.
is a fantastic author, her name is Jenn Cecilia. She's a
Mhm.
poet, and she's my go-to example of someone like, she posts poems, like, and other things in her feed, but every single day she is selling,
Mhm.
and she has a massive like
Backlist.
backlist. I almost said
Yeah.
backlog. No, that's not it. But the backlist,
It's
and
Monday, it's fine.
we're exactly. But she is constantly selling books that she released 5, 6 years
Yeah.
ago. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't something where you only need to talk about this one book.
One time.
But
Mhm.
yeah, but she also has other things that she is selling. But then she also asks, "Hey, what should I write a poem about today?" Or,
Yep.
here's
Yep.
something that I observed at the coffee shop.
Yep.
It's very personable, and this is for fiction and nonfiction. You
Mhm.
have got, like, and I know so many authors just kind of cringe, like, "Well, I don't want to pester people, and I don't
Mhm.
want to." You're not. When you have something, and especially like when we're talking about nonfiction, if you are providing something, well, even with fiction, you're providing something that people are actively looking for, whether it's a problem that they're looking to be solved
Yeah.
or an escape. You are showing, hey, this is what, and it's not you just showing a picture of your book. It's showing the transformation that your book provides or
It's
the feelings that your book provides.
like, as a storyteller, right? As authors, I don't care if you're writing fiction or if you're writing about business. You are
Mhm.
using words as a medium to reach the final consumer.
Yes.
So, therefore, you are in some way, shape, or form a storyteller. So, incorporate, I was just, this is crazy because I'm actually making a carousel about this today because
Wow.
because people get so hung up, and I did too, on like, what do I say in an email?
Mhm.
Right? Like, what do I even say beyond buy my book and also please for the love of God review it? That's what I
Mhm.
hear all the time. It's not it's actually so much more simple than people think once you get into the mind frame. There's an author, you mentioned Janae Cecilia. There's another author, Gillian McAllister, who's been
Mm.
she's she's in the UK. I believe she writes thrillers slash it might be rom-com. I might be screwing it all up, but I'm pretty sure she writes the thrillers. She is so on my radar right now because she's been doing all of these very like personal, hey, this is what it's really like to be a best-selling au and she's a New York
Mhm.
Times best-selling but she manages to work in the 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 sale in a non-salesy, non-self-promo, non-cringy way, and I believe that this is one of the things that most creatives struggle with the most,
Absolutely, and
right?
it is what, if you're concerned about, like, AI, stories, experience is what sets you apart,
Right.
and it's not. I always tell authors, social media is about an inch deep. You do not need to go it's not deep. You do not
Yeah.
need to give them the magnum opus in your caption or in your
Yeah.
post. You're only trying to get them hooked. Then you lead them to your newsletter or to your book. That's that
Yep.
call to action. And when we talk about, even, like, when you're talking about the newsletters, putting yourself in your reader's shoes and saying, if you saw a magnum opus in your email, you wouldn't read it.
Absolutely not. I
But if
get
you
them.
yeah.
I'm
And
like, "No, thank you."
there are some, like, there's oh, she wrote The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, or of
Oh,
VE not Schwab. Why am
I've
I
only heard the
complete
title of the book, but, um
I'll yeah, but she, like, there is an author where once a month she sends, like, this massive, like, very, very long email
V.E.
where it's
Schwab.
yes, okay, it is VE
Okay,
Schwab,
we're back,
where
yeah.
she writes a very, very long email, and personally, like, I remember signing up for it and kind of just skimming the blog, or
Mhm.
skimming the newsletter, And I was like, "Man, she could break this up into 4
Right.
newsletters and send them out like once a week." So
Uh-huh.
you stay at the whole purpose, like not the whole purpose, but one of the main benefits of a newsletter is that you stay at the front of their mind.
Mhm.
And you know that it's ending up in their inbox and that they will see it. Will everyone read every single email that you
Right.
write? No.
No.
And the click rate that for publishing, when people say, well, I only have like 30% open rate, you are at the top end because the average rate is 21.3%.
But you can't even trust open rate because
No.
right? Because, like, when I'm in my inbox and I see it'll technically open, but I just hit delete, right?
Yeah.
So I look at click rate. I
Click.
don't look at open rate. And
And
some
if you,
go ahead.
no, but if you get like even 2 or 3% click rate, that
That's
is
really good.
positive.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very good. So it's when we kind of look at the numbers, it's again educating yourself and going,
Yeah.
okay, what is a good click rate? What is a good open rate? Like just kind of understanding that. And so when it comes to like, what do I even write about? Just even sharing a little like I there was one, email that I sent out just a couple weeks ago. It was about, like, when I worked in the music industry, and I
Mhm.
actually had to work with a boy band, and it was during, like, the mall tours, and I wrote about that, but I brought it so there's this thing that it's called the art of the backdoor brag, where you're talking about one thing, but then you bring it back to what it is that you want to talk about. And so that whole thing, it brought back to this offer that I have where it was
Yep.
just like, and hey, you know what, PS, if you want to grab this, click this link where it's a soft sell. It's not ramming it down someone's throat. Yes,
Right.
there is a time for a strong promotional email or a
Mhm.
strong promotional post. But when we talk about promoting every day or, talking about your book every day, that is how you bring it around to what it is. Leading with
Yeah.
story or leading with, like, if you write a nonfiction business, but, talking about a client that you had where this is how I helped them, turn things around. And here's how I can help you turn things
Right.
around. I have it all outlined in my book.
Right.
That is a very gradual sell, but
Right.
it's there's meat to it. It's not you shoving it down someone's throat. So when we talk about daily sales, that is really like one of the best ways to do it.
And so I'm curious because you did mention AI and that was on my
Mhm.
list of things, right? How much do you because I'll be very honest about my use of it when it comes to coming up with ideas
Mhm.
for promo.
Mhm.
So what kind of success or not so much have you had when it comes to using AI to help give you some more ideas for how you can promote without promote it, like, without it being so it's more of an afterthought, like you said, it's more of a soft sell
Mhm.
than it is "Hi, I'm back, and today only," for because there is a
Yeah.
time and a place for that, but it's much less common than just regular person-to-person communication.
Yes. And so when it comes to actually seeing what works promotion-wise, this is where a little bit of testing comes in. And this is because it's different for every
Mhm.
audience. And like, there was I'll speak from personal experience, like, there was one post that I did where I thought, "Oh, this." I was sharing an experience of an author that I had worked with, and it
Mhm.
was about how she was, like, she didn't even go viral, but she was selling, like, 2 or 3 times, like, what other authors were selling. And so, I just did this example, and then I drove them to go to my free download.
Yeah.
And I had, like, over 1,000, like, downloads that day.
Yeah.
And I was, "Okay." And so then you
That was
find
from a
what work
post?
that was from a post.
Okay.
And so then I looked at that and I was like, "Okay, I know that this works. So how can I reuse this?" It's not telling the same story, but it's the same
Correct.
approach.
Yes.
And you just use that over and over again
Mhm.
because you do not need to come up with 365 different
Right.
posts.
Right.
I take like finding the top 10 that
Yeah.
work. and you recycle.
Mhm.
Repetition is the key to marketing.
Yeah.
And this is something where I'm actually getting ready. This again is not to, be a promotion, but I'm getting ready to release. It's called the 90-day book sales system.
Uh-huh.
And it's how you find those 10 to 15 key topics and you just put them through
Keep
the
just
ringer
keep
and you just
going.
keep
Yep.
going.
And that
And
can work for any genre.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
so it's really about looking at what is working for
Mhm.
you because you can't a big mistake that I see authors make is going, "Oh, well, this worked really, really well for this
For that
author,
person.
so that's I'm just gonna kinda mimic that."
Yep.
And, yeah, you can get inspiration from that,
Yep.
but you need to have some time where you are trying a few like, if it's, trying wording or even trying
Mhm.
your imaging or something like that. Liz, the number of people that I've seen, like, that have copied,
Yeah.
like, exactly, like, the colors, the fonts, everything that I do, and I go to their post and they get, like, 5
Nothing.
there's
Correct.
nothing.
Correct.
That's not what is going to sell. Yes, it kinda
Right.
sometimes it might grab their attention, but it is about the what. What is it that you're talking
Mhm.
about, and what
Mhm.
sets you apart from other authors? And I know that that does take some introspection, that, it takes some, kinda digging and kind of thinking, but I promise you, if you just take that time to figure those things out,
But it's
you
also time and data. So, like,
Yes.
without saying, so people often say, well, how long will this take? And my answer is because I'm not the marketing person. You're that. I come to
Mhm.
you for all of that. But my answer before I send them to you is it's not about the time, it's about the quantity. So
Yes.
it would be disingenuous to say, well, you've got to look at your data over a year if someone's only posting once a month. Whereas
Mhm.
if they're posting 3 times a day for an entire month, maybe you can look at the data after that. So, is there a general number or timeline? Like, do you typically say to authors, "Post this many times a week for this long, and then look at the data and see what is doing well or better?"
Yes. Yes. So for minimum, when it comes to your bandwidth
Mhm.
as an author, like the consistency factor is key. So let's say you were to say, realistically, right now, for me to be consistent for a month, let's just talk a month, I can I can post twice a week. It's like, okay, then get your getter going with that. And then I would also add in, like just pepper in some things in stories. Like if we're talking about
Mhm.
Instagram or even Reels, or not Reel, TikTok, you can
Yeah.
do stories there too.
Yeah.
But keeping that consistency and like once you kind of get that muscle working, this
Mhm.
is again, you're not going to wake up and say, I'm going to run a marathon and immediately run it. You need to train for that. And so once you get those 2 posts going per week and you're going, oh, I can do this. Maybe I'll add another one. And you also want to focus on the quality of these posts. You don't want to just toss something together. You think, oh
Just so you can
gosh, I
check
need
the
to.
box.
Yes,
Oh,
it
I see it all
needs
the
to.
time. Yeah.
Yes, you need to be really conveying why your book is what someone is looking for. Because the thing about books is that you are not, it's not like a concert, like with a musician people go to an event to watch this, group perform live. People aren't going out to watch an author write a book, like
Right.
on in groups. You're
Right.
asking someone to sit down and be still and read something.
No.
They it's e I will there are a lot of people that fight me on like the price point of a book.
Mm.
If there is someone that anyone loves and they say, "My book is $50," and if they are just the like special editions, anything,
Right.
people will plunk the money down.
Mhm.
What they are wanting to know is this book worth my time? Am I going to see what it is that I'm looking for with
Yeah.
this book?
Yeah.
That is where your marketing message comes from.
Right.
What is it that makes your book so valuable to read? And so it's when we talk about, even just like the consistency factor, even if you can only just do it 2 times a week for a month, that will get you at least some numbers. But it is a minimum. Like, when someone comes back to me, like, 3 weeks after they start putting this
Mhm.
together, they're like, "Nothing's happening." I'm like, "I
Right.
know. You need,"
Right.
and especially if they're starting from scratch,
Right.
you need to, I mean, 2, maybe 3 months even.
Yeah.
And that is a big bummer for a lot of people because they want it
Mhm.
right away.
Of
But
course.
here, yes, but there are billions of people, like,
Yeah.
on Instagram. There, and it's not to say that you won't get there.
Mhm.
It's the time that it is going to take some time.
But what I love that you're saying, and you've said this before, is it's not so much you have to post 4 times a day or 5 times a day or
No.
5 times a week or anything like that. If that, a lot of people are like, I have a full-time job. I'm a
Mhm.
full-time parent. I fill in the blank. I'm not able to do that. And my response is then don't. Like,
Mm-mm.
can you post once a week?
Mhm.
It will take longer
Longer. Yeah.
probably to get that data and that traction, but to your point, if that's what you can do consistently,
Mhm.
then do it. What I
Yes.
see people doing that in my experience doesn't work, and the reason I say it doesn't work is because they tell me it's not working,
Mhm.
is they're just like, "Oh my god, I haven't posted something in 3 days," and they just share someone else's something, and then they're like,
Yes.
"Why am I not selling books?" It's like, first of all,
Yes.
nobody even knows you've written a book because you're just
Mhm.
sharing stuff, and nobody really knows why they care. I mean, it's
Mhm.
you're building a relationship over the internet is just weird anyway.
It is,
Right?
yes.
Like, let's be honest.
Yep.
It's just weird. And so, to your point, grabbing people's attention, keeping people's attention, um, forget to read a whole book, just to read a
Yeah.
post.
Yes.
Like, it is,
But you also have to remember people are, like, even thinking about how you consume content, people are
oh,
flying,
yeah.
flying through it.
Yeah.
And if you're like, you always want to see what is going to make them stop the scroll. What is it that, like, and it's a combination of, the visual,
Mhm.
it's like having a hook, like having
Mhm.
verbiage on the screen. Because also, like, if you're talking about TikTok or even Reels, a lot of people watch them with the sound off. So
Yes.
having
Yes.
text on there is very important. And
Yeah.
even with, if it's just captions, like catching what it is that you're saying if you're doing a
Yeah.
reel. But the thing that we always need to remember is that, like, we wanna stop the scroll, but the next step is that you want them to see more. Like, once they see the post or watch the reel, is there something in that caption that's gonna make them want to read the caption
Right.
or to go take that next
Right.
step? There has to
Exactly.
be, with every single thing, the one thing I always look at when people are saying that their social media isn't working or that they aren't selling anything, I always look, do you have a call to action?
Yeah.
Do you have something where you are telling them what to do next? It's like herding cats. Like, you cannot expect them to know what it is that you want them to do or where it is that they need to find their books. Like, I've had some authors who have said, "Well, social media doesn't work." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean it doesn't work?" "Well, I'm not making any sales." And then I go and look, and they don't even have a link in their bio. They don't have anything. It's
Right.
like, well, of course, it's like,
Right.
well, I say that it's available on, like, KU. It's like,
They're not gonna do
no,
that
they're not gonna
legwork.
do that,
Right.
no, and they'll, if they get, that requires them going to Amazon. "Oh, shoot,
Correct.
what was her name?" And you can't
The
remember that.
Schwab, we can't
Yes,
right? So it's like yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, it is, you have to think leading them and being intentional about every single
Mhm.
step,
Mhm.
and I know that this is, like, that I'm speaking about this like this is my world, and I understand what those next steps are. If you don't understand what the next steps are, that's, again, educating yourself.
Right.
It's thinking about, okay, the end destination, I want them to sign up for my newsletter. Okay, then you need to have, like, where is it that you need to start? You need to have a
Mhm.
hook. You need to, tell them, like, the messaging of the story. What is it about your book that's exactly what it is that they're looking for? And then having a call to action to go to the link in your bio or to comment a certain word. And then that gets them onto
Yeah.
your sign up page. So it's thinking about all of those steps. It's not just about getting more views or going viral or doing all of that.
Well, and I think that one thing that a lot of people are guilty of when they're in a, because I am too, when they're in a place of like self-focus, like my book isn't selling, is think about how you, A,
Mhm.
consume content and B, order books. So I right now have probably 20 books in my cart. Um, that or I'll see something and go, "Oh my gosh, I wanna get that book." Jillian McAllister, perfect example. I
Mm.
wanna get so many of her books, and every time I see her on Instagram, I'm like, "I've gotta order that book," and
Mhm.
then my sourdough's burning, so I have to go deal with that, and I
Yes.
forget. But for some reason, and I don't know what the psychological, well, other than we're human, we take it really personally
Mhm.
when people don't make it a priority to stop everything and go order our book right now. And it's
Yes.
that age old, someone has to see something 11 times or 13 times. And
Mhm.
that's probably been even exacerbated now
Mhm.
because of this brain rot situation that's happening on social media
Yeah.
where it's like people aren't even paying attention. They're just
And
scrolling.
so to kind of contribute to the brain rot
Yeah.
conversation, it's thinking about something that I like to kind of go back to a story about when I worked in the music industry. I did something, it was called tour press. And tour
Mhm.
press is when a band was going to be going on tour or going to be going to play at a town or a city, and I would get them coverage and,
Mhm.
like in magazines, newspapers, TV, all of that. And so in order to do that, like let's say they are a brand new band, they were gonna go to Chicago. What I would do is I would draw an hour circumference around Chicago, and I would look all in that one concentrated little area. What were the TV show, morning shows, uh, magazines, online magazines, or newspaper, all of that stuff. And I would just saturate it. And they would go back to Chicago again and again and again. And then, like once they had a bunch of shows there, the newspapers be like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that band. They were
Right.
really great," and so then it takes that time.
Mhm.
The same thing, if you are a new author and you're listening to this and you don't have like, the idea of social media just makes you want to puke, and you have no clue where you should even start. Start small. There is
So small.
nothing
No.
wrong with starting
Nope.
within the area of where you're at.
Yeah.
So even going in, like let's say you live in St. Louis, and this is a real life example. I had an author who he was so frustrated. He did not want to be on social media. He was in his 50s or 60s. He wrote this historical fiction book, and it was, based on one of the world wars. And he was like, I have no clue what to do. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, where are you located? He was located in St. Louis. So I said, what is it that you love? Like if you could do anything, to talk about this subject or, to meet people, what is it that you would do? You
Mhm.
said, I love talking about history. I love talking to other people who love talking about history. I was like, okay, let's look at the historical societies around your area. Let's look at your local library and see what other, like if they have any sort of historical fiction meetups or book
Mhm.
clubs or something like that. So we just started looking at this is what he enjoyed doing for
Yeah.
one, that brought him joy because when you enjoy it, you will show up consistently. And two, looking at what he has just in his area. And we just
Yeah.
looked at the St. Louis area, and he went to his library and there's a book club that he could talk to. We do not need to hit a million people all at once with our
Or
book.
possibly ever, but
Exactly.
right.
So focusing, looking at a small thing and look at what you can do really well because you can
Mhm.
balloon out from there.
Yeah.
So if you are struggling, it's don't pull back more, zoom in on, okay, ask yourself, what do I enjoy doing? Where do I enjoy showing up?
Mhm.
And then what is there around me that I could participate in
Yeah.
or that I could even reach out to them to see, like, libraries, I always say that is the first place you go.
Mhm.
Librarians are a godsend. Like,
Yep.
they will know where to put you. But even if, like, you write nonfiction and let's say you're writing about a part of your business or even memoir or, something where you have a collection of people that even if it's like 10 people that you have either worked with or that you're connected with who know your story, starting with them
Yeah.
and using them kind of as your launch base or to help you kind of get that conversation going.
Yeah.
That is all like that is really one of the best places to start because then you get that momentum going. It's like if you're going to build a snowman, you start with a little a little hand,
Yeah.
like you just get a little bit and then you start rolling from there. You don't need to have a massive launch team. You don't need to
Mhm.
have a massive group of people to even launch your book. Even, like 5, 10, 15, 20 people is great.
Right.
And you just start
You
from
just go
there.
from there.
Yes.
Mhm.
You do not need, 10 and this is where I can get on my soapbox about, like publishers saying, "Oh, you need
Numbers.
at least
Right.
10,000 people." It's like, "No, you
Right.
don't. You don't need that. You
Right.
need even just like a good handful of people to get things started."
Do you think 2026 could be I'm looking for a year of calm.
Ooh, yes.
How about you?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I've last night, I perfected my Italian sourdough.
Ooh,
Okay, I think I've gone through
nice.
like $100 worth of flour in order to so
Yes.
this thing that was supposed to be economical is somehow not. But I would
Yes.
like a year of good sourdough and calm.
Mhm.
Mhm. I'm
Yes.
just wondering if we might get there. She
Oh, and I think that like writers tend to be more introverted and like you
Mhm.
don't want to people too
Mhm.
much and you just get exhausted like
Mhm.
we like
Mhm.
just this weekend Marcus and my husband and I needed like a full day of decompression because like
Mhm.
we peopled too much last
Yeah.
week and it was just like and so yeah but I think it's simplifying
Yeah.
and this is the other thing like something that I recognized in going towards calm. I
Mm.
realized that doing like TikToks and videos,
Mm.
reels specifically for like when we're talking about social media, sucked the ever living life out of me. Like it was something that it was just sucking every ounce of joy out of me. So I
Okay.
stopped doing them. I
Yeah.
do carousels and
Yeah.
get great engagement. I do my once a week YouTube video that's
Mhm.
also our podcast.
Mhm.
And it's just like I am that is enough
That's it.
energy for video for
And I
me.
I think that's also the other great point, Jen, is that just and you've already said this, but just because something's working for someone else
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it has to be your thing.
Yeah.
There are just as many people because I'm in a group right now where people are trying all these different things and they're not authors, they're creators of all different types
Mhm.
and there are people who are like carousels are not working for me. And then someone else will say, "Well, my carousel got, 2 million views last week." And then they'll say, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, well how much did you sell?" "I sold nothing."
Mm.
Right? And then someone else will say, "Well, my reel only got 300 views, but I sold 6 books or I sold 4 courses," or whatever the case is. And so I think that can send people into this tailspin of, "Oh, I gotta turn 180 degrees and do this other thing in order to be
Yeah.
successful." And we lose our I do this end of the year thing where it's like, "What did I like this year?
Mhm.
What do I not wanna do next year? What do I wanna do more of next year?" And lean into that.
Yeah, but it's also we're focusing on the wrong thing. We're
Yeah.
focusing on the outlet. The
Yes.
outlet is not the answer. It
No.
all comes back to the content, to the
Mhm.
what. Who is it that you're trying to talk to? I always say talk about your ideal reader and then your messaging.
Mhm.
Those 2 things are the heartbeat of everything. And
Yeah.
if you like tomorrow I might wake up and going, I want to make videos
Oh.
again. And I can I doubt it, but the thing is that I have
Yeah.
this core like, I have these 15
Mhm.
things I taught you or, like, the topics,
Yep.
and I can turn on a dime
Yep.
because I know what I'm focusing on. But and because, like, it was about 6 months ago or even longer than that where I realized my reels weren't like they weren't as like they weren't getting the amount of interaction that I
Yeah.
was used
Mhm.
to. I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I know my message is good.
Mhm.
I'm going to try carousels,
Try
and
something different. Yep.
that that worked. But
Yep.
so it's when we only look at the outlet as the answer, that's not the answer to your problems.
Mhm.
When you know what it is, who it is that you're talking to, getting very, very specific on that, and
Yeah.
then your messaging, making that the heartbeat of everything, then you can go anywhere.
Yep.
So that's when you think about where, well, if I can go anywhere, where should I go? Where you
Where
find the
you
joy, where you
correct. Where you
want to
want to
be.
go. Yep.
And that makes you excited to show
Yep.
up. If you enjoy doing podcasts, if you love talking with people and you want that one-on-one, like face-to-face conversation,
Mhm. Mhm.
sign up for, like some speaking events or go to some,
Mhm.
events or, different meetups and stuff like that. Meetup.com is
Go to
really
book
great.
signings at your
Book
local
signings.
bookstore. Just go and be a
Exactly.
member of the audience and ask a question or don't.
Yes.
Right? Just be among other people who love books and other
Yes.
authors who are just out there trying to do the damn thing.
It,
It's just a long game. I'm going to say it till I'm dead.
well, and with any business, this isn't even just with books. This is with any business, you have to continue to talk about it. You have to continue to,
Yeah.
and when some authors say, "Well, I'm sick of selling it." And it's like, "Okay, then
Then don't.
then yeah, you
Right.
it's but the thing is like I'm sick of selling it, but I still want to sell more books."
Exactly.
You have to talk about it.
Right.
And, like, I've had some I understand the whole, "Well, I'm an author. I didn't sign up to, become a marketing expert." It's like, you don't have to be an marketing expert, but no one is more passionate about your book than you.
Right.
Even if you're signed to a traditional publishing house, they are not more passionate about your
Oh,
book than
hell
you
no. Right.
at all.
No.
So, because this is something, again, this is your business. I know that you're a creative person. I know that that is, like kind of like acid to your ears when we talk about, a
Mhm.
business, but you have to approach it like
Like
that.
a
And
business. Right.
yes,
Yeah.
and you can't just kind of shoot from the hip with that. You
Right.
have got to be intentional. And it's not, when I say intentional, that does not mean it's going to take you 3 hours every day to
Right.
do. When you can kind of plan and again
Mhm.
simplify where it is that you want to show up
Mhm.
and like really honing in on your messaging, it's so much easier to
Mhm.
apply because you do not do not have to be on every social media outlet. You do not have to
Thank
be
God,
anywhere and everywhere. I know. So
because I
it's
don't
really
I'm on one.
strip it down. Yeah.
I'm on one, truly.
Yeah.
Like, I cross post sometimes to Facebook, but
Yeah.
I really don't pay a lot of attention to Facebook. It's just
No.
not
Oh,
not enjoyable place for me to be. So,
when we talk about like content creation, it's you find I focus on the long form content first, which
mhm.
is for me my podcast and the YouTube channel, which kind
Right.
of go together. And then I break it off from there. Like, okay, what are, 3 or 4 key topics that I
Mhm.
could also
Mhm.
use within this on Instagram
Yeah.
that I'll repurpose, like I don't really post it to TikTok anymore, but it's just kind of like, where can I repurpose this? Oh, I can
Yeah.
turn this into a pin for Pinterest. I can turn, and so it's working smarter with that one outlet, not harder on
Yeah.
how you can
Because
reuse
let's
that.
be honest, like, most authors have a second job.
Mhm.
Like, for most authors, being an author is not their full time or even close to
No.
it.
No.
And those who can are blessed and lucky, and they have all kinds of things going on potentially that people
But
don't
they've also
know.
been
But
doing it for probably years.
that's it.
They have like
Yeah,
10 books under their belt.
yeah, yeah. So everyone, all that to say, everyone is trying to figure it out and manage
Mhm.
their time and sneak it in. And so,
Mhm.
how do we sneak it in a way that doesn't feel like, ugh?
Yeah.
Because I spend most of
Exactly.
my day feeling like, how I can't remake the sound I just made.
It's very guttural.
I felt it in my soul, not gonna lie.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for making
Oh my
this time
gosh.
on literally, I gave you like
Anytime.
14 minutes notice. And if we get really lucky, we'll do this much more often in
I know.
2026.
That is
Um,
our wish.
that is
That
our
or no,
wish.
our
No.
It's not even a wish. It will
Mhm.
happen, but it's
Good, good.
one of the ways that we are going to make
Mhm.
2026 better.
And
Huh.
calmer. Ah,
Yes.
and also this will behind me will be moving like, I'm redoing this whole room in
Whoa.
anticipation of said collaboration between you and me. Yes,
Wow.
yes,
Fancy
yes.
pants. Well,
Mhm,
you are one of my I have to tell you, one of my favorite things is, like, when I do hop on Instagram at the end of the day,
mhm.
and I go into my stories, and I see a new project that Liz has
Mm.
started.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
"Oh, what's this?" Like, you're the
Mhm.
handiest person.
No, no, no. The other day, one of my sons came in and he looked in this room, and I have you can't see what's going on around me, of
Yes.
course, right? There's a
Yes.
ladder against the window. There's wood leaning up against the walls. I've got tools. I took a picture yesterday. I had my KitchenAid mixer next to my finish nailer, like sitting on my like who I don't know. And he just walked in and he looked in my office and he just goes, "Oh no."
Oh, yeah. Well, one of my all-time favorite texts from you, this was a while ago, but you said something about, "Well, stop me before I Liz this up."
Lizify,
Liz,
Lizify. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
it was, oh
Mhm.
gosh. But it's
Yeah.
but that also, like, kind of going back to, just stories. This is
Mhm.
if you think that it's silly or, like, "Oh, who would even care about that?" People like, when they see kind of behind the scenes of
Right.
your windowsill, like, when you're measuring out your
Well,
windowsill
it's
and
in.
it's in God's
Yeah.
hands. But people love that. You just kinda get
Well, or
this
they don't,
peek.
right? Or they don't.
Yes.
And I think that for me, my strategy, I don't have nearly as intentional of a strategy as you would like for me to have.
No.
If right, you
Hey.
I don't. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
But part of my strategy is I do what I like. And
Mhm.
I just hope that because there are plenty of people who a lot of people don't talk about the unsubscribes. People don't talk
Oh, yeah.
about the oh, I signed up to get your free thing and then I just dropped off your list. People don't talk
Yep.
about that. It's everyone has it.
Everyone.
Everyone has it.
Yes.
I have plenty of people who are like, I don't care that you're making sourdough.
Yeah.
Why are you posting? Well,
This is something too where, like, when someone says, like, "Oh, I wanna have, like, 10,000 followers," or whatever it
yeah,
is, that they reach this, their
pinnacle.
pinnacle.
Mhm.
I say, and they want it to happen right away. I always ask, "Are you ready for it?"
Correct. Oh, don't
Because
this is
this
a
is
whole
the
separate
thing.
we'll do a whole
Yes.
episode on this in
So that
2026.
yes, because
Yeah,
that I think is one of the
yeah.
biggest misconceptions, and boy, I have some fun
And
stories
boy,
about
I
that.
have some fun stories about me. Like,
Yes.
I will wholly throw myself under the bus for this because the
Yes.
number of times I thought I was ready,
Mhm.
I would have been canceled so fast because I was not ready for someone to email me and say,
Mhm.
"Why do you keep selling? Who do you think you are?" I was
Yeah.
not ready, and I would not have handled it. And I'm not I mean, for all I know, I wouldn't handle it properly today, although I
Mhm.
feel like I'm a little more regulated, like,
Oh,
depending on,
yeah.
whether my estrogen's working, you know? But, like, I I was absolutely unequivocally not ready for more money, not ready for
Mhm.
more eyeballs, not ready for more criticism, and I think that that is one of the big oh, we'll do a whole episode. It's one of the
Yeah.
biggest disservices that creators do
Mhm.
is focusing on the dream, which we all
Yeah.
have, but not being honest about
Mhm.
what also comes with that.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like, oh my god, it must have been more than a decade ago, and Bethany Frankel, who is I never she's still relevant, but I don't she's not in my, like, feed or
Mhm.
algorithm anymore, but she had said, "Listen, now that I'm at the level I'm at, my legal issues cost
Yeah.
$150,000 instead of $3,000."
Mhm.
And I just think that like, I get it's sort of negative to talk about that. Everybody likes to say, like, "Everyone the line was all the way down the street, and
Yeah.
I made 40 grand, and I
Yes.
it's also important in my world, it's important that someone also says, and here's what also comes with that, because I wanna be prepared for that. I
Yes.
I don't wanna be in a space where I'm like, "Oh, but I thought it was just all, like, cake and t
Yeah.
Taylor Swift and,
No.
whatever." I mean, so whole other
Oh,
topic of
yeah.
we'll have
Yeah.
fun with some of these, I feel.
Oh, yes. I definitely,
Stories are
definitely.
good.
They
Stories
are
are
good.
good,
Yes.
you know? I adore you.
I adore
Thank
you.
you. We'll do
Thank you
this
for
again
having me.
soon. Oh my god,
Oh,
always, always,
always
and
is.
yeah, just every week, please,
There you go.
which is something I'm
Was it
working on.
yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
so, um, thank you. All your stuff will be in the episode notes, and we'll
Yes.
talk to you again in 2026.
All right.